It was supposed to be a moment of national pride, but it turned into a nightmare. In front of a stunned international crowd, the Indian HAL Tejas fighter jet, India's flagship defense project, spiraled out of control and crashed in a violent fireball at the Dubai Airshow. The pilot didn't survive. Gasps echoed through the grandstand. Black smoke choked the sky. Sirens blared, and in seconds, India's big moment became a global headline. But here's what they didn't show you on the news. Eyewitnesses reported the jet had been struggling mid-air, dipping unnaturally before nosediving. One described seeing 3 separate explosions as the aircraft hit the ground. Like a war zone, he said. According to Reuters, the crash happened just 8 minutes into the demo, on the final day of the airshow. This wasn't just any crash, it was the second ever recorded for the HAL Tejas, a jet India has hailed as a symbol of self-reliance. So now the question is the Tejas cursed? Or are officials hiding something bigger? And why did flying resume barely 90 minutes later as if nothing happened? You're about to uncover every single chilling detail. And trust me, it gets darker from here. The date was November 21st, 2025. Location, the Dubai Airshow, the largest of its kind in the Middle East. And then, tragedy struck. It was 2:10 p.m. local time when the Indian Air Force's Tejas fighter jet took to the skies. Eyewitness Jignesh Varia told Reuters it had only done 2 or 3 laps before it started losing altitude rapidly. Then it just nosedived. In a flash, the aircraft slammed into the ground and burst into multiple fireballs, as seen in shocking footage shared by CBS and Reuters. The pilot was killed instantly. Black smoke towered over Al Maktoum International Airport. Sirens shrieked. Crowds screamed and scrambled. Emergency crews flooded the tarmac with firefighting foam, while police and a diplomatic SUV bearing the Indian flag arrived within minutes. According to Al Jazeera, this was the first crash ever recorded at the Dubai Airshow. Let that sink in. Yet within 90 minutes, as if choreographed, the airshow resumed. Fighter jets were back in the sky. The Russian Knights flew overhead, while emergency crews still worked the smoking wreckage below. It was surreal. But what was this Tejas doing at Dubai? What was the real goal behind its appearance? Brace yourself. This crash wasn't just tragic. It may have been politically explosive. The HAL Tejas, whose name means brilliance in Sanskrit, was meant to be India's aerospace crown jewel. Developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, powered by General Electric engines, the Tejas was India's answer to its aging Russian MiG-21 fleet. First conceptualized in the 1980s, the jet's journey has been marred by delays, budget overruns, and technical snags. According to the Associated Press, the Tejas made its first flight in 2001. Yet over 2 decades later, India is still struggling to fully integrate it into frontline service. And this wasn't even the first crash. In 2024, a Tejas went down during an exercise in Rajasthan. That pilot survived. But now, with a fatal crash in front of global defense eyes, the credibility of India's Make in India defense push is under fire. As of 2025, India had signed contracts to procure 180-plus Tejas jets, including the upgraded Mk-1A version. Deliveries have been slow. Delays in engine shipments from GE and pandemic-related disruptions have kept HAL from meeting timelines. Defense analyst Francis Tusa told Reuters, it's India's first fully domestic fighter, but export interest has been lukewarm at best. And now, the world is watching, and not for the right reasons. What was supposed to impress foreign buyers may have just torpedoed India's export ambitions. This crash didn't happen in a vacuum. The Dubai Airshow is the 3rd largest aviation exhibition in the world, after Paris and Farnborough. Held biennially at Al Maktoum International Airport, this airshow is a global arms bazaar where military powers flex their technological muscles and lock in billion-dollar deals. And India wanted in. This year, over 200 aircraft were showcased, including displays from Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and the UAE's elite aerobatic teams. India deployed the HAL Tejas to demonstrate its capability and attract foreign buyers, especially in Southeast Asia and the Middle East. According to Xinhua, India's delegation included the Suryakaran aerobatic team and multiple Tejas units. The goal? Show the world that India could build and fly its own top-tier fighter. But instead, Tejas crashed and burned, literally in front of defense attachés, Air Force chiefs, and arms dealers from across the globe. A tragic death, a fiery crash. And just like that, the narrative changed. India's push for indigenous defense dominance just hit a wall on the world's biggest stage. But the world didn't just see a malfunction, they saw a military superpower stumble. Now, the question on everyone's mind is, what exactly went wrong inside that cockpit? Let's talk about the aftermath, the politics, the rumors, and the cleanup spin. Within hours of the crash, the Indian Air Force released a statement confirming the pilot's death and announcing a court of inquiry. IAF deeply regrets the loss of life and stands firmly with the bereaved family in this time of grief, they posted on X. The UAE's Ministry of Defense echoed the sentiment, calling it a tragic accident, and pledged full cooperation in the investigation. But social media exploded. Was there an oil leak before the flight? Did someone ignore a warning? On Thursday, just one day before the crash, India's Press Information Bureau had publicly denied viral claims that a Tejas had leaked fluid on display, calling it false propaganda. They insisted it was routine water condensation drainage due to Dubai's humid conditions. Still, speculation didn't stop. Some claimed India rushed the jet's schedule to impress buyers. Others accused HAL of cutting corners on pre-flight checks. Meanwhile, a video on Ings showed what appeared to be liquid dripping from a Tejas aircraft hours before the accident. HAL has not commented. General Anil Chauhan, India's Chief of Defense Staff, expressed deep regret and emphasized the importance of learning from the incident. But behind closed doors, officials are scrambling. Defense deals are delicate, and reputation is everything. And here's the kicker. A new contract for 97 Tejas jets was signed just 2 months ago. Is that deal still alive? We're now entering dangerous territory, where aviation meets politics, and where facts might be buried under diplomacy. So, what really caused the crash? The official line, too early to tell. A court of inquiry is underway, led by the Indian Air Force and likely involving UAE aviation authorities. But experts already have theories. Some point to possible hydraulic failure, citing the sudden loss of altitude and apparent lack of control during the dive. Others suggest a possible engine flameout, though General Electric has said it's ready to support any probe. According to the Dubai media office, emergency teams responded within minutes, and a medevac helicopter was on site within 25 minutes. But none of that could save the pilot. Here's where things get suspicious. Why was there no mayday call, no visible ejection attempt? And why did it take until after the crash for HAL to acknowledge anything at all? According to the Associated Press, the pilot had completed several laps before the crash, suggesting something catastrophic occurred mid-display. Was it pilot error, a technical malfunction, or something far more unsettling, like political pressure to perform? Some defense insiders have hinted at internal HAL disputes over last-minute aircraft modifications done to boost show performance. Whatever the truth is, it's being investigated behind closed doors. One thing is certain, this was not a fluke. It was the second known crash of the Tejas, and this one happened with the entire world watching. And now, the final and most difficult question. What happens next? One jet, one death, one global stage. The HAL Tejas was never just a machine. It was a symbol of ambition, of sovereignty, of India telling the world, we can build our own future. But after this crash, after the smoke, the sirens, and the silence, India must reckon with a painful truth. You can't rush brilliance. The pilot who died in Dubai is now part of a tragic chapter in India's aerospace history. And while the nation mourns, the world watches. Will HAL and the IAF fix what's broken? Will the Tejas program survive the storm? Or will it be remembered as a failed promise? India's defense ministry has not canceled any contracts, but the scrutiny is only just beginning. And in the brutal world of military aviation, one mistake can cost billions. As China deepens ties with Pakistan and South Asia militarizes by the day, India's need for a reliable modern air force has never been more urgent. And yet, in a moment meant to showcase strength, India's HAL Tejas crashed and exposed a weakness no one can ignore. Will the Tejas rise again? Or is this the final descent? One thing's for sure, Subscribe now for the next chapter. We bring you the truth, unfiltered, unapologetic, and unlike anything on mainstream media.